Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name's Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Graham Hales. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. Australia's Federation Guard is a tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. It provides a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catapult party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier within the Hall of Memory. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Go
If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Charles Frederic Giles Chopin. Charles Chopin was born on the 14th of May 1900 to Frederic and Emily Chopin of Canberra, New South Wales. The family lived in the Shell Harbour area, where Frederic was made the principal of the Shell Harbour Public School in 1902. 3 years later, after the birth of the child of the couple's fourth child, Charles' mother died suddenly. Charles attended Shellharbour Public School and then North Sydney Boys High School, where he was a member of the school's senior cadets. While he was in high school, the First World War began. Chopin was eager to serve his country and feared that the war would be over before he could do his bit. At the age of 17, he put his age up to 18 and, with his father's permission, enlisted for service with the AIF on the 16th of July, 1917. After initial training, he was allocated to reinforcements to the 17th Battalion. In September, the townsfolk of Shellharbour gave a farewell party for Chopin and one of his childhood friends who had also enlisted. After a final leave, he embarked from Sydney with his unit aboard the transport ship Euripides on the 31st of October. After arriving in England in December, Chopin spent several months at camp in Wiltshire. Here, he underwent further training for service on the Western Front. He was sent to France on the 1st of April, 1918, and a little over a week later was sent forward to join the 17th Battalion. Chopin was taken on strength and posted to Charlie Company. He was quickly accepted by his comrades and was given the nickname Chopper. Over the next 3 months, the battalion saw frontline service in several sectors, including near Villers-Bretonneux, which had fallen to the Australians in April. At the end of July, Chopin was promoted to Lance Corporal. Chopin saw his first major action on the 8th of August, when the 17th Battalion was involved in the Battle of Amiens, the beginning of the final Allied offensive. After a brief rest out of the line, the battalion returned to the front line on the 26th of August and took part in the Battle of Mont-Saint-Quentin. On the morning of the 3rd of October, the 17th Battalion was involved in the attack to capture the Belrevoir line and quickly captured the village of Willencourt. A little after 10:30 in the morning, the men resumed their advance towards Montbrulhin. Chopin, a member of a Lewis gun team, was severely wounded in the head and chest by a shell burst, which killed the other member of his team. Chopin was carried back to the 6th Australian Field Ambulance, where he died shortly after. He was 18 years old. Charles Chopin was laid to rest the following morning in the Ballycore British Cemetery. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, along with nearly 62,000 others from the First World War. This is but one of the many stories of courage and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Charles Frederic Giles Chopin, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If you're able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. at the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Hands, arms.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.